Hey guys, welcome to my podcast, Coming Clean. I'm your host, Kylie Lewis, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hey guys, welcome back to Coming Clean. This is episode number 88. I actually know the episode number today. And with me today, I have a guest, and her name is Shurley.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for showing up. Even though we just talked about you've got a potentially totaled car that you drove here.
But everybody was okay, so that's okay.
So you and I have met once before, but I feel like with social media, I've been following you, you've been following me, we've been kind of connecting. And everything that you've posted has just felt in alignment with me. And I loved watching your videos and getting to know you a little bit more, and even watching like your journey. So for people who are listening or watching, you have YouTube videos that you started to do. I didn't look at the date. How long have you been doing that?
I think it was around the beginning of the year that I started.
Okay, so about 6 months ago, 7 months ago, something. I watched your first video, and then I watched your last video, and I could even see in all of them in between, but just watching that transition within only 6 months' time is super cool. And I'd love for you to kind of maybe go backwards, because if you just started that 6 months ago, and knowing that you've come to one of my workshops and the things that you post and the person that you are, that's all I've seen. And I know that although maybe deep within that's always who you've been, I personally have gone through my own journey, and I didn't always show up that way, or I didn't always present myself to the world that way. So if you want to begin by just kind of telling me like what happened, what events happened, or what breaking point or waking up point happened for you to wake up and to really step into this, and to be like, I want to make YouTube videos about manifesting your desires or coming into alignment with your truth. Okay. How did that start?
So first I want to say I resonate with everything that you talk about too, and I feel like a lot of the same, the patterns of like kind of moving forward and recognizing something and then taking a step back, and then like allowing ourselves to feel and then move to the next step. So I definitely resonate with everything that you post about too. For me, I was at church one day, and we were singing a song, and the words were, "I'm not worthy." And I felt like this quick download, and it was like, you're not supposed to be singing that. That's not something that I want you to sing. And so I was like looking around, and it was the strangest feeling. It was like I just felt all alone, and I felt like I could see everybody around me, but it was like this moment of just wake up, like you're not supposed to be singing that. And I felt a pit in my stomach, and I left that day. And I was determined to figure out why. Why wasn't I supposed to be singing that? Why were none of us supposed to be singing that? And so I left, and somehow I started to come across videos on manifesting and positive affirmations, and I had never even really heard of positive affirmations. I had never stayed really aware of my thoughts, I don't think. So I'm just dabbling in this, and I read The Secret and found Abraham Hicks, and I just realized that my life quickly started changing. Like I felt way more confident in myself, started to feel more confident in myself. And so then when I was reading the Bible, then I came to Exodus. This was my first video, and I was so nervous to make that video, but something was just telling me, like, you have to do this. And I'm sure you could tell how nervous I was in that video.
Yeah, I could, and I could relate to it, because I remember my first video.
Yeah, it's
like everybody's watching, but really nobody's watching.
Yeah.
You're by yourself in a room, yet you feel like you have a million people in the room with you.
Yeah. And it was just hit upload. Just that, it was so, I sat there for a while before I actually even hit upload. But, so as I was reading again, I call them downloads. It's like, there's no rational reason that should come from me. Like, they're not my thoughts. Like, I feel like it's connection to divine. Like, you're getting this information that there's no reason you should be thinking it. But so when I was reading the Bible again, it came to me, it just like pointed out that anything that we say I am, like, God is I am. And the one thing that, is like the big sin is blasphemy. And it also says, like, God is in us. So it hit me, it was like, we're never supposed to say, I am not worthy, I am not enough, because God is in us. If we're talking negatively about us or anybody else, which we're all His creation, we're putting His creation down. So I started to get more into the positive affirmations, and I just noticed, like, digging out all of the lies that I had told myself over the years, like, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm shy, I can't talk. Like, I still deal with this, but just digging out all of the false beliefs that I had about myself, and starting to put in what she says, like the source says about us. I just noticed that I started to really come into who I am, and that I am one with God and everybody. I feel like everybody's connected. I've always felt like everybody's connected. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's one of the reasons I have a hard time talking about my truth, because I feel like at points in my past, I would talk about how we're all connected, and I would talk about, even in grade school, like hearing things, like getting these downloads from source, and I'm sure kids are probably like, what the heck are you talking about? So I think it made me feel like, oh, maybe it's not safe to talk about stuff. So I think I knew and I felt that at a really young age, but I think I shut myself up mm-hmm. because it wasn't normal. Mm-hmm. You didn't talk about that kind of stuff. So
mm-hmm. Yeah, and everything I can relate, just whether it's speaking about things like that or anything else that's within you, you get taught to be quiet and sit down and to raise mm-hmm. your hand if you want to talk and you want to belong. Mm-hmm. So if you say anything or do anything, even if it's serving you in one way, if it doesn't get you attention or likes, or like you belong to the group, then you'll stop doing it because you're like, well, I don't want to be, you want to fit in. So then if you're in your 30s or 20s?
I'm 39. I'll be 40 in September.
Oh, wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you were in your late 20s with me. I'm 29.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm in my late 20s.
Yeah. Well, I love that, though, because I think that there's no right time to wake up. There's no right time to start to be able to have confidence and to speak what's actually within you, mm-hmm.
Whether
that's when you're 19 or 29 or 39.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool that just at 39 you start making YouTube videos. It's like, people think, oh, I can't do that because I'm not a teenager, or I'm not.
Yeah.
Like it is just simply a platform, just like a podcast is. Mm-hmm. So one, I think it's really cool that you just dove in and started doing that in your living room with your dog on the couch. Like it's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be complicated. And then, one thing that you pointed out was that you listened to, or you read The Secret, or did you watch it?
I did the Audible.
Okay. that has been brought up multiple times throughout my podcast from my guests, that when I ask, like, what was the moment that you started to realize that that you had control over your life, basically, or that you need to pay attention to your thoughts because they're creating your personal reality. And they often, many of my guests have said The Secret, which is just cool because you don't have to believe The Secret or like that you're going to sit on your, it's not about sitting on your couch and wishing that you had everything and then it's going to show up. It truly is, to me at least, the power of your thoughts creating your moment-to-moment reality. And although that's a lot of pressure and it's a huge responsibility, it's freedom, because then you realize you're not a victim of the world.
I totally agree with that. I think that is one of the things that changed my life. It's, instead of reacting to everything that's coming your way, you put your frequency out there. So, over the last 3 years, which has been the base of my journey, the waking up, the becoming who I am today, this version. There's so many.
Yeah.
But it's. I just lost train of thought.
That's okay.
Okay.
You were saying that, now I lost it too. Basically, control of your thoughts and not being a victim.
Thank you.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. Taking responsibility and not allowing, because I feel like a lot of what I did in the past was just react to things that were coming to me and just go with the flow, but not my flow, with other people's flow. I never took the time to sit back and say, what does Dawn want to do? I was more of a follower. Okay, this is what everybody wants to do. I'm going to go along with it. And thinking back, a lot of the things that led me in different directions wasn't really something that was true to me. It wasn't something that absolutely interests me. I didn't have passion about it. So just now being more of putting my frequency out there and what I enjoy, and taking responsibility for my life and following what I'm being led to do. And it's crazy how fast your life can change when you actually start putting your own frequency out there. So.
And in one of your videos, you kind of talked about that, like how someone might start, and it sounds so simple, but I don't think a lot of people do it, because I know I didn't do it for the longest time. And that is to simply just get out a notebook and write down what you want your life to look like.
Yeah.
So what does that look like for you? Do you do that often, or?
Yeah, I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of meditating on what I want my life to look like, and then journaling, and then, praying about it. And I find when we take control of our thoughts and we make sure we're always in alignment with what we're meditating on, praying on, and we tell our thoughts, I'll catch my thoughts over here, not aligned, and just being a witness and pulling it back into alignment with what I had prayed about, meditated on, and journaled. As long as I'm aware and pull that back in, it happens really fast, but it's just being aware. And right now I'm in a transition because I had worked in the financial industry for a very long time, and I live a lot right now on intuition. And I can feel when I'm being led to do something. And so I felt very led to leave my job. And it made no sense logically. It's you have this amazing job, the culture was amazing, the income was great. And I've just learned, if I'm being called by God, you need to do it, because things are going to be made very uncomfortable for you in different ways until you follow. So I just followed, and I put my 2 weeks in, and I decided that I was being led to start a business, And so I left, and I'm like, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to do public speaking. I'm going to start this business, because that was my plan. I was being led to leave. I don't think I was necessarily looking back led to start this business, because the day I left, I felt like good job, you did a good job, thanks for following me. Then I started to work on my business, and it was like I'm hitting these roadblocks everywhere I go. And so I really needed to step back, because I feel like when you're hitting roadblocks, it's for a reason. So then I started meditating on that, and then I ended up coming across this opportunity to go to a spiritual retreat, and I was like, maybe I just need to take some time and step back. And yeah, I know you just did this recently too when you guys went to Colorado.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're like things that we go through a lot at the same time too right now. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to take some time for myself, because I'm focusing on trying to help others, which is like that's all I want to do is serve others. Like that's what helps me feel fulfilled. But I also have to make sure I'm in alignment in order to do that. So if I'm hitting walls, I was like, okay, I'm going to apply for the spiritual retreat. I'm going to go take care of my inner work and figure out where I'm not in alignment. Why am I hitting these walls? And while I was there, I unplugged for 5 days, I think it was, and right now, because of that experience, I'm actually in a paradigm shift right now, and I'm meditating. I'm not sure which direction it's going to go right now.
Yeah, I can relate so much. Yeah.
So yeah, I had hired a business coach, and it was about getting on social media and creating a presence and do. Mm-hmm. And I'm realizing that that's not aligned with me necessarily. I don't want to be on my phone all day, every day. I want to figure out a way where I can connect in a different way, I think. But that could change too. I'm just marinating in it right now and trying to figure out what is best aligned with me, so that way I can serve the best.
Yes. I agree 100%. And it's wild too. Like, I unplugged for 5 days also. And then I came out of it thinking I was going to feel better. Mm-hmm. I just felt different. And I didn't know what to do with that energy. And I'm about 3 weeks out from that. What was the timeline for yours?
I was there the 13th through the 17th or 18th, I think. So
yeah, shortly after mine.
Yeah.
And it's really like that struggle between knowing you have to do something because you're in this human form. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to make money, you have to take care of your dog or yourself or your house or your apartment, whatever. Yeah. And all of that's real, and you want to serve too. But you also want to be able to step back so that you're doing all of that from that place of alignment, from that place of your authentic self, and from a place of abundance. Because where my mind often gets, and where I'm trying to still hold myself back right now, is when I say hold myself back, I mean ever since I got back from the Colorado trip, I'm like, okay, well, I took 5 days off, so now what's next? And let me book an event, and let me like work. And that roadblock, that feeling of forcing something is so obvious. When I'm trying and it's not flowing, then I'm like, okay, well, clearly I'm not supposed to be trying so hard right now. Mm-hmm. Maybe I still need to retreat. And it's this fake timeline that we have in our head. It's like, okay, wasn't 5 days good enough? Okay, now it's been 2 weeks. Yeah. Now it's been 3. It's like, when is this going to happen? Yeah. And if we were to zoom out on the big perspective, the massive perspective of our life is just like this tiny little glimpse. But even like, say that we're here for 100 years, then 3 weeks, even 3 months is nothing. Mm-hmm. Like, I will be okay. I will survive. I'll figure it out. And sitting in that trust is the hardest part, because it's like a moment-to-moment thing of switching back and forth between everything everything's fine. Everything's going to happen exactly as it should. But I got to figure this out. Like,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, it's hard.
It is. I can totally relate, because that's what I'm in right now. And I feel like since I came back, I feel like, God is saying, you have to trust me. And I want you to just sit here. And in what I'm getting is a lot of that is getting in touch with our divine feminine.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you do like a strong solar plexus. Like you just want to do, and you want to, keep moving forward. And sometimes, we're just being led to just receive, just, we don't have to necessarily know what it looks like. And it's really amazing. I've had things happen in my life recently where actually I was just talking to my friend where I think I was getting to the point where I'm like, I need to do something. Like, I can't just sit here. And then, as strange as this sounds, this accident that I was telling you about happened. And I've been being called to just get rid of things, just sell things, because you don't need things. Things are not what makes us happy. Just being is happy, and enjoying nature, and enjoying, friends and family. Mm-hmm. And so I've been feeling this strong call to sell things, and then this accident happens, and it was different because I never even worried about my car. Like, it wasn't about my car getting hit. And then I take it in, and they're like, well, it might end up being totaled, and we would just you would get a check for your car. And I'm thinking, like, okay, is this mean? Because I've also been kind of feeling about, why do I need a car? Like, it's literally, I thought back to what you were talking about, how when you like came clean and you're like, I got rid of my car, and it's like, I'm just feeling this call to just get rid of everything. And I know it sounds so strange.
It doesn't sound strange to me.
But so I'm like, well, maybe this is a blessing, where you just receive this check you just receive this money, and then you let go of this car. And I don't know if that's how it's gonna unfold or not, but that was definitely coming to me. Like, everything happens for a reason. I asked you to sit. I asked you to just be and enjoy your, the way you're evolving right now, and be in your divine feminine.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about that, because that's something I've not gotten into talking about a ton on my podcast, but I listen to a lot of podcasts that talk about the divine feminine. And I'm so interested in it because regardless of anyone's spiritual beliefs or religious beliefs, divine feminine to me just feels like it touches on something like deep within me. Mm-hmm. And I know that, like, the way that everything is kind of set up with society and then our human brain, it goes against the divine feminine in a lot of ways, meaning it's very designed around doing and accomplishing, and that serves us in a lot of ways. And it's helped me create this podcast, and it's helped me help a lot of women and create paintings, because it's like it drives you. And that's more of a masculine energy, at least that's what I perceive it to be. But when I do things like, whether that's whether that's meditate or dance to certain types of music, and paint from a place of trust and allowing, I feel that sense of divine feminine, or if someone wants to just call it feminine energy, it's like you feel home, and you feel like you're expressing your truest self. And that's really powerful to me. It's different from the power that comes when I go, I'm going to make this work, I'm going to try really hard, I'm going to save the world or save my family or even save myself. It's like behind that almost.
Yeah.
It's like sitting behind all of that, just with like open arms, just knowing that it's all just flowing out and allowing, like that art of allowing that Abraham Hicks talks about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what is your perception of divine feminine, and how do you get in touch with it or express it?
For me, and I'm still learning about this too, but for me right now, being in the divine feminine has a lot to do with being in my emotions and feeling my emotions and meditating and connecting with, through meditation or prayer, connecting with the divine and growing intuition. Like I feel like divine feminine is a lot about nurturing and connecting with your higher self and going off of intuition instead of looking externally. And I feel like the divine feminine is a lot to do with collaboration. I feel like society right now is very much in a masculine, not divine masculine, but in a masculine, where it's a lot of competition and walking over people to get what you want, and money is power. And I feel, to me, one of the things that I've come to realize in my relationships over the years is because I've never been married and I've been single for a long time. I have feminine and masculine, and I've been learning to balance that. But because I was in a position where I had to take care of myself and I had to, mow the lawn and do all this stuff and do, I feel like I had raised the masculine in me to survive. And what I've experienced, because I'm very sensitive to energy and I'm very sensitive to vibrations, and I have been since I was a little kid, I just didn't understand what it was at the time. Mm-hmm. But I've noticed for me, I feel like as women, as we raise our masculine in us to do, it's causing, and this is just my opinion, mm-hmm. I feel like we're starting businesses and we're doing. It's causing the masculine to want to raise their masculine, and it's just human nature. And sometimes that doesn't always go in a good way. So I feel like the more us as females get into that role and then they get into a more masculine role, it's like this cycle of it's preventing us from actually getting what we need from the men, mm-hmm. Or women that have masculine in them, because we need that nurturing too. I mean, everybody has masculine and feminine, but if the men are raising their masculine and they're pushing down their nurturing and their feminine part, we're never going to get what we actually need. And I know this, it's in my mind. I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly mm-hmm. or not, but I think as women, we need to learn to be more in our feminine and let them be in their masculine, and then that will allow them to kind of relax into their masculine and then nurture us mm-hmm. and take care of us. And not that we are not also powerful and can do things in our life and create things, but allow us to sit back and create and help them. Does that
makes a lot of sense?
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, one, like words are so restricting mm-hmm. because there's such a difference between divine masculine and just masculine. So I almost think like the word masculine alone should be changed to something else.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's just simply like this, maybe even ego, right?
Yes.
Because we all have ego. And then we all have divine masculine and divine feminine, meaning the truest, most authentic, purest self and the balance of the yin and the yang within ourselves. And the ego is separate from that balance. So if our ego is coming up, then their ego is going to come up because it's all about protection. It's about, like you said, competition and defensive. Like so many of us and women I've talked to, like they won't allow, even if their partner, assuming that he's a man in this example, he'll tell her she's beautiful and she won't receive it. And she's cold. And he'll come home from work and try to kiss her, try to hug her, and she won't receive it. She closes off and she has a to-do list. No, I have to do the laundry. I have to do the dishes. And that prevents that connection. And it's all based out of this place of survival and fear, and it's, I think, for the most part, pretty innocent. We're just completely unaware that we're resisting love. Even when we say we want it, like you talked about. If we say we want love, and we say we want, I wish, my relationship was better, or I wish I had a relationship, or I wish that we were more intimate, or that he would make me feel better about myself, then you have to ask yourself, do your actions and your words and your energy align with that desire? Because so many of us, myself included, will say, I wish, even on a small scale, I notice myself closing off when my boyfriend tries to hug me or kiss me, just simply because I didn't notice I was in my masculine, or in this case, maybe my ego was inflamed because I'm in a stressed state because I'm trying to make money, to survive. And it's a hard and complicated thing to talk about, to even describe in words. So hopefully anyone listening or watching, even if you're like, what are they talking about? You get it. You get it in some way. That when we step in as women, when we step into our feminine energy and we soften and we trust, then our male counterpart, if you're in a male-female relationship, then they can be in their masculine, in their divine masculine, and they can also soften. And then we can be together because we let down our walls of our ego and of our survival. So I love that you brought that up, and I feel when I'm with you, your energy is, to me, divine feminine. So you're doing a good job, whatever you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I struggled that actually at the retreat. I talked about that because I can be so in the do. I always questioned, am I too much in my masculine? And so over the last few months, I think letting go of stress and trying to just be in the flow, I think that's helped a lot to just receive. And I actually, being in a house for that retreat I think there was 15 of us, and 4 were men in their divine masculine and feeling completely safe around them. And it was that week is probably the best week I've ever had. I witnessed, these men to me were so strong because they were crying and they were getting rid of anger in a safe way when they were surrounded by 2 other men, and letting them get out their anger and their wounds from their inner child from years ago. And to me, that was strength. That was pure divine masculine, and it's very attractive for women. I was not attracted per se to these people, but it was very I just feel like if men recognized that women see, not all, but some women see that as pure strength and allow themselves to be vulnerable and cry and to let their nurturing side come out and balance more and us balance more, it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. It was beautiful. And there was a few conversations and things that we went through as a group there that I will never forget. And I just hope that, it's hard for men because a lot of men don't have that safe space to do that when they go to show their emotions or be vulnerable. I've heard it so many different times, and they get made fun of, or man up, and it's like, really, what is man up? Why is strength pushing things down? Strength to me now is recognizing what we're going through, feeling it, and confronting it in a loving ourself type way. Even last night, I was talking to my boyfriend on the phone, and I was like, every time before something serious happens, I have to be put out there, I get anxiety. I was like, I'm having anxiety, and I've learned that it's weakness to just push it away and be like, I'll be fine. And the strength comes from feeling it and confronting it. It's like, what are you scared of? And so.
Yeah. Well, I love that you brought that up because I definitely know what you mean. Speaking, in front of audiences or before my workshops, I would always feel that way. But after 4 years of at some points I was doing painting classes weekly, and it would be every day of the painting class I would have what someone might refer to as anxiety, and I would allow it to make me feel sick to my stomach. Sometimes I would cry. Back then I would drink wine and eat a bunch of food because I just felt like I wanted to literally stuff it down. And one day my boyfriend asked me, after doing it so many times, he's like, when are you going to stop this? And to me, that was not ego. That was his divine masculine saying, when are you going to confront yourself? Mm-hmm. And over time, I realized that, and hearing different people say things too, it's anxiety or nervousness is so similar to excitement in a physiological way, the actual chemicals being released, like adrenaline and cortisol. Even though it's stressful, mm-hmm. Those are two very similar things, to be excited and nervous. Yeah. So if you just tell a different story in your mind, then you still confront the feeling. You can still dive in. You can still get curious and go, why is this here? What am I excited about? Or what are these, even if you don't want to label it as excitement or nervousness, maybe you just go, oh, I feel adrenaline, or my mind is overly active right now. So what are those things that are coming up? I found that to reframe that emotion into excitement before a workshop, instead of me being like, ooh, I'm really nervous because it's negative, then I go, no, I'm just excited. I have extra energy right now.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to start using that.
Yeah. It really does change everything, because that's the narrative that you then tell. Mm-hmm. So yeah, before you came on here, I understand why you had extra energy. You've never done the podcast before. Mm-hmm. We've never had a conversation really before. So there was a lot to think about. But it's cool that you at least acknowledged that and noticed it and worked through it, faced it at least, and felt it. And that's something I've been trying to do too.
Yeah, same. The last few years for me, a big thing is if it's fear, if it's I like the excitement. I'm gonna start using. Just do it anyway. When you had messaged me about inviting me to your podcast, I'm so in the state of just saying yes now. So I said yes, and then I was like, I'm going to be on a podcast, but it's like I welcome things that maybe are a bit scary for me now, because after starting to grow in the last few years, it's like the best addiction, it's like I never want to stop growing now. And when we're fearful of something, or it's the unknown, as soon as we get through that, it might not be the most comfortable, because you're stepping out. But once you get through it, you're like, that was good, that was great, and now what's the next thing to grow some more? So
yeah, I love that, like saying yes, leaning into things even when you're scared. And that's what you said in your first YouTube video. At least I think that was your first YouTube video, where you were like, I was nervous to do this, but I did just do it. You said, like Nike, just do it. And it's true.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the only thing that sometimes our courage has to step in almost after we've said yes, because it's easy to say yes, and then the feelings start to creep in afterward. You go, oh, I'm actually doing this thing. Okay. Yeah. And to feel those uncomfortable feelings and not back out and not walk away when those feelings start to come up is really where courage and confidence, I think, are built. Maybe even the confidence comes after you've done the thing. The courage builds along the way of sitting in the discomfort, and the confidence comes when you leave the podcast or you leave the bungee jumping or whatever you're doing, and you go, oh, I did that. I survived that. And then you go, what's next?
Yeah. And it's been a reoccurring thing in like my work life too. And so I always try to think back, because anytime I've started a new job, it's scary. 3 months down the road, you've got it. Or, in my last job, it was a manager left, and then another person left, and then it was just like, okay, you need to figure this out. And it was uncomfortable being in it. But then after you figure it out and you do it, and then 6-7 months down the road, you can look back and realize that you grew from it and you are capable. Like, you can figure stuff out. You are capable. And then it just fuels the next thing. And just having things to look back on and think, okay, that was tough. You survived. So just having those memories of the other things that you've gone through. And
yeah, I agree. Totally. Thinking about, so I'm imagining somebody listening right now, and maybe they're not addicted to growth. Maybe they are stuck. Maybe they feel stagnant. Obviously, we can't give them their wake-up call. We can't, reach in and be like, okay, this is the moment, now you're going to start being addicted to growth, just like we are. But what are some of the things that you do, obviously your life is different because you don't have your job right now and you don't have kids, right? So you have time and space to do these things. But do you have a morning routine or a self-care routine of some kind, or practices that you do that someone could start to do now in their life if they feel like they're wanting to grow?
Yeah, I right now, my morning practice is I get up and I go to the gym. One of the things that I've grown in over the years is taking responsibility for my health and not looking at it as, so I'm a huge believer in what we focus on is what we're going to get. And that, for me, one of the things that I had always focused on was I need to lose weight, I need to stay fit, I need to do this, I need to do that. So in my life, I was focusing on this, so continually I would I need to lose weight, I need to get fit. So I flipped my mindset and went to, I take care of my body. It's my responsibility to have a happy, healthy body, and so one of my morning routines part of my morning routine is going to the gym. I go to the gym unless something comes up. I did slack over the last 3 weeks because I was in this middle of this paradigm shift. But going to the gym 4 times a week and taking care of my body, because whatever, when I feel like anybody, when you feel good and you feel healthy and you can wake up and you can be like, I got that done right away in the morning, it starts your day already feeling energy, good energy. And I know I've heard you talk about how you get up and you'll do something to move your body and dance or do the trampoline. I think you said that you do. Yeah. And I think that's so important because it just gets your energy flowing. And so I go to the gym and try to focus on not need to lose weight or need to do this, or it's like I'm happy with my body, I'm taking care of it, I'm doing things to make sure it's healthy. Then I come home and I'll walk Wrigley because that's my dog. And so I'll take him for a walk and get a little extra exercise. And then I do meditation in the morning. One of the most important things that I started doing over the last few years is, it can be anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour, but I do a chakra balancing meditation, which represents visually exactly what I've done to become who I am today over the last few years. So if people aren't familiar with chakras, and I'm not an expert in it, but I know the little bit that I do know, it is our energy body, and we have 7 chakras, our root chakra, our sacral chakra, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and our crown. And that has basically been my journey of becoming who I am today, not necessarily realizing at the time. So our root chakra is where we feel safe, whole, enough. It's our stability, our foundation. And that was the first thing I did when I started to wake up. When I came across Exodus, and I was told we're only supposed to say I am and then positive things after it because God is in us. And so by focusing on my root chakra and really starting to feel stable and whole and recognizing who I am and who God says I am, I make sure that I balance this. I check in every day. So am I feeling any kind of negativity towards myself? Because self-love is so important, and it flows into everything we do, everything we say, and then it ripples around this 3D earth and affects more people than we can even imagine, just by our little selves rippling throughout people. So I want to make sure every day that I am feeling whole in who I am. And if there's something there, if there's a block, I need to address it. And once I'm feeling whole and who God says I am, then that leads up to our sacral chakra, which is our feelings. So once I know I'm safe and whole, then I can actually start feeling that way, which our emotions, energy and motion, it's our emotions are what is creating our reality, co-creating. God created the law of attraction, and then we're co-creating by recognizing His truths, feeling His truths. And then from there, once I'm feeling and decluttering anything that may be blocking in my energy, feeling whole, then it moves up to the solar plexus, and then I'm free to act as who I really am, act as my true self. Because if we're not feeling safe and we're not feeling enough, we're not going to fight through fear. We're not going to get that courage to go help the person that maybe we're being called to help. We might feel insignificant, or because I know I dealt with that a lot too. I have this inner wisdom from not me, but from above, and I need to lend that to this person and help them. And then I would go back to, wait, who am I to do that? I'm, and so, getting to the point where I can act in the world the way my true self wants to come out to the world. And then just making sure our heart's open. So, then I'll stay in that chakra for a while. And is there anything that's blocking me from loving people? Is there anything blocking me from receiving love? And, it's a daily thing, because things from the past will come up. It's like, I know this, I'm aware of it. And I've had abandonment issues in the past. I've had relationships that were very unhealthy. And so I know that can sometimes block my heart. So I work through those every morning. If it's something pops up, deal with it. If sometimes it's fine and I don't get anything, but just making sure it's always staying clear. And then one of the hardest things for me was my throat chakra. I'm still working on this. Like, I feel like I've been shushed, or for me, I think it was a lot of going through life speaking. I think a lot. I would have conversations with people, and I am well aware now that sometimes I'm up here, like, if this makes sense. Like, my mind is like more in like the 5D, and like we're all connected, and how's the earth, how's everything, and trying to have conversations with people. I feel like sometimes I would talk, and I'm all excited about this, and it was like they're not interested at all. So then I feel like, okay, just why talk about it? So I think like I have to do a lot of clearing here to feel comfortable speaking my truth. And a big thing that I've done is connect with people all over the world that think the same way, or feel the same way, and they're open to all these things that I think about. And I think realizing that my thoughts are not necessary, other people think this way, or other people are interested in this. Like, it's helped me to speak my truth a lot more in my posts and stuff. And so I'll stay there. Is there anything, blocking me from speaking my truth? Or a lot of times here, I feel like it's external validation. Worried that what I say is going to offend somebody, and so a big thing that I've been working on the last few years too is, if it agrees with me and it's aligned with me, then it needs to be spoke. You can say it. And because I think years and years of monitoring myself, because I would hear what people, like, in my mind, I would kind of make up, like, oh, they're going to, disagree, or these people might disagree. And if I stayed focused there, I would never say anything. Is that so I work through that, and then I go up, and I've always felt connected to everything, and even as a child. And I remember even my old boss, when we took our tests at work, my top strength is connectedness. And we would have these meetings, and I remember him saying, he's like, out of all the strengths, he's like, I don't understand that one. And in the book it said, if somebody doesn't have that in them, you can't explain it. So I remember feeling like, how do I express this? So it's like an all-knowing that we're all connected, and just realizing that
this is the third eye, right?
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah. So we're not taught how to do this. We're not taught how to use this. And so growing my intuition and growing in my spirituality, and it's a hard one to explain.
Yeah.
It's really internal. It's internal, and it's connecting with divine and seeing the big picture in life without seeing it. It's Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard it referred to as the all-seeing eye.
Yes.
And I also learned something recently that was more, I guess, scientific, that made it make even more sense to me, which is that while you're meditating, a lot of meditation teachers or gurus or even yoga teachers will suggest that you look at your quote-unquote third eye. And the reason I say quote unquote here is because, it's the space that is just above the area between your eyebrows. And I have to look further into this, but someone recently said that when you look there while you're meditating, you actually get a hit of alpha brainwaves, which I know you've talked about brainwaves. Mm-hmm. So you actually get your brainwaves change when your eyes close and look up to your third eye area, which I thought was really fascinating.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. Yeah.
Only recently I learned that, and I'm like, oh, I've heard so many people talk about this. And the book I'm reading, The Untethered Soul, Michael A. Singer, he wrote The Surrender Experiment, which you would love, and it's perfect for you right now if you want to dive into it. It's great.
Yeah, I'll have to take that.
Yeah, but he talks about his meditation journey for like a year and a half. He went into solitude, and every time he would start to get distracted, he would just look up to that space, and his brainwaves, he didn't know technically they were changing, but he could get back into a meditative state pretty easily. So yeah, it is hard to explain.
Yeah.
But something's happening even on a scientific level of like your brain waves change when you close your eyes and you breathe and you look up.
Yeah.
Just between your eyebrows, between your eyebrows. It's fascinating.
It is, and I find it fascinating too because it's even talked about in the Bible.
Really?
And because our third eye is around where like the pineal gland.
Okay.
And after stepping away and kind of digging more into spirituality and then going back and reading, I came across where it was Paul. Paul, it talks about Paul wrestling with God, and that, or wrestling with a man in the middle of the night. And I might get it a little wrong, but it was like he then, after a while, saw the face of God, and he named this place Peniel. And going back to the Bible, there's so much talk of meditation, and part of the downloads that I said I get, I know it's so I get just information that flows through, and it's like there's no explanation, like why would I think of this? And so part of the downloads that I was getting, and I did a video on this too, was in the Bible when it talks about the angel of the Lord coming to talk to Moses at the burning bush. It was like, that's your red root chakra. There's stories in the Bible that for, just 3D humans reading, it just seems like a story, but it's so much more. There's messages in there, and it talks about meditation, and the red root chakra, it came in that form to represent our root chakra flowing down into the earth and connecting with source. And it was a burning bush because it was red, it was glowing. It wasn't necessarily even a burning bush, but that's how it was seen. And then the next thing that the angel of the Lord told Moses was to remove your sandals because you're on sacred ground. Well, our next chakra is our sacral chakra, our feelings. He wanted him to feel the ground, feel the sacred ground. And then he sends him to Egypt to free the slaves, the next solar plexus. Now that you have touched on your root chakra and sacral chakra, now I want you to go, and I want you to release these people. And another funny thing that I I feel like I was shown in the Bible was how perception and how humans can change things in their mind or change the way they say things or repeat things that can be so important and we don't catch. So the angel of the Lord sent Moses and said, tell them I am that I am, set them free. Tell them I am, set them free. Well, the journey, he gets there and he doesn't say, I am, set you free. What I was, feeling was that was a message saying all you have to do is say, I am free. I am safe, and believe it, and your reality will change. Mm-hmm. But when he gets there, he didn't say it the way the Lord told him. He gets there and says, the Lord my God of Abraham. So it's how quickly us humans can misinterpret something or not understand the importance of the exact way that it's said.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, when you say that, I think of what you said about your body image and like wanting to be healthy and take care of yourself. That's something that I've struggled with for a long time too, is I need to work out. Mm-hmm. I need to get fit. I need to get stronger. And the slightest shift of a word, like if I just say, I am fit, I am strong, I am healthy, I do love my body, everything changes. Yeah. Now I'm in this state of, I already have it. I already have it, right?
Yeah.
And that is what is also the secret. It's the law of attraction. It is choosing to feel the way that you want to feel. Choose that now. Mm-hmm. Don't put it outside of yourself at a further date. Don't think you have to go and achieve it, because if you think that's all you have to do, then by the time you get there, if you do, you won't be able to feel that thing because it's happening, or it has to happen within you.
Yes.
Like, you have to know that, like, it's so hard to grasp until you actually start to practice it. And it's so simple. And I said this in the podcast last week with Kevin. Like, it's so simple, but it's really hard because everything outside of us tells us the opposite. Like, well, you have to get the house first to feel like you've got the house, right?
Yeah.
You have to have the money to feel abundance. How can you feel abundance if you have nothing? Well, abundance is actually a feeling, so you have to start practicing that feeling.
Yeah.
But it's so hard.
It is. It's like, I mean, I've been, changing my thoughts for 3 years, and I will still, every single morning, almost, I will still listen to Abraham Hicks videos. It's like that daily reminder, because we can so quickly forget. And it's so simple, because whatever we're thinking about and however we're feeling at this very moment is determining our future. But if we stay in the past and old versions of ourselves or old thought patterns, what are we going to see? We're going to see that again and again and again. But as soon as we can become aware and be aware of our thoughts and remind ourselves, or find ways to remind ourselves to feel as if we already have this stuff, then it just comes to us. I have a list on my refrigerator to remind myself of all the things I've manifested just in 3 years. And this is why I'm huge on just going off intuition now. And because, like, I was at it started, I think the first thing I manifested was my current apartment. And I didn't have to do anything. This was like being in the divine feminine flow. All I had to do was think about it and feel like I already had it. And it was brought to me. Somebody told me about it, and I got to move in like that week. And it was like, it's trust, and it's controlling our thoughts so that our thoughts don't control us. And like you said, just like you already have it, and
and acknowledging it once it happens too. I think it's just like celebrating your little wins and celebrating your growth. I mean, we can be so hard on ourselves and like think, well, we have to have, it has to be so huge, it has to be so black or white to celebrate. And it's like any success is made up of tiny little successes and tiny little wins. So if you don't acknowledge it, then why would you think that, one, you're going to get the big thing, or that, two, you're going to enjoy the big thing if you don't even know how to go, oh, cool, I got this apartment I wanted simply because I trusted that I would, and I got myself into a good state, and I was open.
Yeah.
Right? And just giving that gratitude for it.
Yeah, gratefulness is like, I totally agree with you. It's like one of the most important things. Like, starting the day, I have a sign in my bathroom that says grateful and thankful, because maybe I get up and I forget to think about it. Well, I have it right there. It's like, no, and you just going down the list of, and because whatever we're thankful for, we're going to get more of. So, staying in that state of gratefulness is so important. I agree.
It is. Yeah, I love it. Well, as we wrap up, because believe it or not, time has passed, an hour has gone by. So 2 last questions. Well, actually, before I ask those, where can people find you if they want to follow you, connect with you, or kind of wait and see what's next?
Yeah, so I have Facebook, so under Dawn Shurley, and then I have Instagram under Dawn Shurley, and it's just Dawn Shurley all together, no symbols or anything. And then I have a Divine Energy Rising business page that is on hold right now.
So we'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, and then I have a YouTube channel. So it's under Dawn Shurley.
Dawn Shurley?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll link everything.
Okay.
So the last 2 questions. 1, what is one thing that you want more of in your life? And 2, what is one thing that you are currently coming clean of?
One thing that I would want more of,
or even that you're, so we're talking about alignment, right? So if you say, I want more of this, then maybe that's saying you don't have it. But what are you currently calling in, even if it is that divine feminine?
Right now, this is not a typical thing, but right now, at this moment, I have everything that I need. I'm gonna try not to cry. So, I've been single for a long time, and I actually met the most conscious and wonderful man at the retreat.
Wow.
When I was there. So I feel really blessed right now. And he actually subscribed to you yesterday. I'm like, I don't know if any guys subscribe, because it's Happy Healthy Women, but he's amazing. And so right now I feel my heart just feels so full right now.
Aww.
And so there's really nothing that I can think of at this very moment, because what else do you need, right?
That's amazing.
And
by the way, I have that tattooed on my arm. I don't know if you knew that. I have everything I need.
Yes. It's beautiful.
Love that. Yeah.
It's beautiful. That feeling, it's just like just life, it's a beautiful thing.
It is.
And I forgot the next question.
Coming clean.
Clean.
Is there anything, even if it's small, like a habit or a thought or anything that you are wanting to come clean of?
Yeah. I still, I don't know if it will be a lifelong thing with me, but I've always struggled with that seed of unworthiness. And I constantly have to recognize it, be aware of it, and switch my thoughts. And so actually my boyfriend now at the retreat, it's a constant reminder, and it pops into my head. Part of the things with the retreat was speaking our lies and trying to come clean of them. And he put a smashed up cup in front of me and a cup in front of me, and he was like, "Would you please get me a cup of water?" And I just looked at him like, "What?" And he was like, "This is your unworthiness. This is gone." And he threw it. And so now anytime I start to feel unworthy for any reason, I just picture like I have a whole cup. I am whole.
Mm-hmm. As Oprah would say, my cup runneth over.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would really like to continue working on coming clean of that, because it doesn't serve me and it serves nobody that I come in contact with. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was such a pleasure.
It was definitely a pleasure for me too. Yeah.
Great first conversation.
Yeah.
We'll have to connect sometime in the future.
Definitely.
We will.
Definitely.
And thank you everyone for watching and listening, and we'll talk to you next time on Coming Clean. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy life to hang out with me and my guest. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please feel free to share it with a friend, anyone who you think could benefit from this conversation. And also send me a message or a comment or an email, wherever you find me. Connect with me and let me know, why did you enjoy this episode? Did you have any aha moments? Were there any times where you heard us say something that you didn't even think about before? Just let me know so that I know that you're listening, and I just really appreciate your feedback. So I look forward to talking to you all next time. Thanks again. Bye.